In a time when we needed him most, Lucifer has returned. The show, not the, What is up, Netflix fans? Welcome back to my channel. I've been reviewing Lucifer for like 3 seasons now. We finally have part 2 of season 5, episodes 9 through 16, I believe, and we are setting up some crazy things for what is to be the final season of Lucifer, but today we're going to talk about it. No spoilers, and I want to say thank you to Netflix. In case you guys are wondering, they sent me all the episodes early. That's why I'm putting this out right now. Also, if you guys enjoy Lucifer as a show and you like this review, be sure to drop your thumbs up down below and comment your thoughts. So in episode 9, titled Family Dinner, Lucifer, Michael, Aminadil, and Linda prepare for the holliest of family dinners, and we are just thrust right back into this world after that crazy mid-season finale when the Allstate guy, God, shows up and makes his presence known. Now, this season revolved around that character a lot more than anticipated, and while I'm not allowed to dive into specifics, Netflix told me so, I will say that God's relationship with his kids is a strenuous one. It is one that we have been hearing about and seeing all throughout the seasons, but now we finally get that confrontation, and what better way to confront your father than to do it during a dinner scene, and that scene in particular really sets the tone for what this season, or at least the first half of this season, the first half of the second half of the season. It's confusing. But it kind of sets the tone for what that's going to be about, the fact that God is dealing with a lot in his own right, but it's also trying to maybe make up for a few things, one or two here and there, that his children have not been happy about. And then Lucifer specifically, but also Michael. They all three have their issues, but it's really kind of that trio of Michael, Lucifer, and God just being unable to figure out the why of it all and having those conversations and developing that sympathy. Now, I won't tell you where this ends up or where that storyline goes from there, but just know that that's kind of the crux of the entire beginning of this second half, and God plays a huge and integral role, and even when he's not on screen, it's still kind of about where he is. I think that's all I'm allowed to say. But that storyline in particular got really intense. Now, Lucifer has always been a show that features twists and turns that seemingly come out of the blue and shock you. And while the semi-familiar and predictable formula of the detective aspect is definitely present in this season, and we have a few mysteries and a few cases. Some were a little more interesting than others. There's maybe 1 or 2 episodes that I didn't care as much about, and also 1 or 2 episodes that will stand out in this season as going off on a different path, if that makes sense. One of the episodes revolves all around Detective Dan, and he essentially gets his own little storyline that I actually found to be kind of interesting, especially when you see where that goes and where that leads us. And once you see it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But oh my goodness. And then the other episode, I believe, was the second one. So episode 10 is a musical episode because God is doing something to turn it into this giant series of musical numbers. So all of our actors and actresses get the opportunity to sing a song. Now, the story surrounding all of these musical numbers I found to be really interesting because we are really dealing with God and Lucifer specifically. That back and forth relationship, that father-son relationship, you guys know me. Anytime we get something like that, I'm enjoying it. And even though that's the shtick that they're going for, in the first batch of episodes, we got the black and white episode that I probably didn't like as much as the others. I kind of feel the same way about this musical episode. The musical numbers, while they are worked into the story very well, some of them felt a bit unnecessary, and the way that they were constructed, I don't know if it was as well executed as maybe they wanted it to be. But that's just kind of a personal thing. I'm not really trying to dog it for the story because the story itself was good. Of course, you have Chloe and Lucifer's relationship. That is just this constant back and forth, and it feels like every season we're rooting for something specific to happen. And I won't say what happens this season, but I will say there are actually a few things that happen with that relationship and learning more about each other, the ins and outs, the quirks, and then you get other characters in on that relationship, and of course, Michael just kind of, still he's kind of stepping on toes and getting in the middle of things, and Michael really proves to be that necessary antagonist that we knew he was, and he has been, especially in the finale, that mid-season finale. But now he is really conjuring up something entirely different, and it leads us to this full season finale, a season 5 finale, that is just this giant battle between forces. I won't say who's on what side and who specifically is fighting against each other, but there's a lot that they had to do choreography-wise, CGI-wise, story-wise, to execute on all of these things that did prove to, or at least I hope will prove to satisfy certain fans. Now, if you're asking me, Austin, the specific execution of certain aspects like the fight choreography and all of this stuff, look, it's just ridiculously difficult to do what they had to do with Tom Ellis playing two separate characters. And I think, one, that's a testament to his performance, being able to distinguish himself that good and going that extra mile in this half of the season and really proving that he is that caliber actor that I think we all knew he was in the first place, and that all kind of culminates in this season finale. There's also a shock factor to the finale. What happened with the giant battle when God showed up in the mid-season finale? Yeah, that was epic in my opinion. This may not be as epic on that scale, but it is as emotional. It is as wild. And for a solid 10 to 15 minutes, I had my jaw on the floor. I sat back and said, I can't believe they did what they just did. And they definitely work it out in an interesting way, but when something happens in that season finale, you're going to be like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And here's what I'll say. It's season 5. If you're a fan of the show, of course you're going to watch season 5 and you're going to get excited about so many different things. The moments, the jokes, the quirkiness, right? It seems like every moment of pure seriousness when a character, is doing something grand or doing something that would be super epic with no levity in any other show. In this show, they do something, and Tom Ellis is always kind of winking and nodding at the camera going, wow, okay, well, let's break it up just a little bit with some comedy, and that little sprinkle of comedy here and there is what makes Lucifer such a compelling show, and it continues to be compelling in Season 5. Is it my favorite season? No, probably not, because certain things, just the execution felt a bit off, but overall, we get exactly what we expect, but those moments scattered in between that are unexpected allow this season to really stand on its own and culminate with a finale that I don't think fans are going to forget, whether you love the execution or not, and I see maybe a bit of division there. We'll have to see how everyone responds, but there are definitely some story aspects in there that I was just in love with, and I was eating it up. As a fan of the show, I was eating that up. So before I give you guys my score, be sure to drop your thumbs up down below if you're a fan of this show and if you are excited for this half of Season 5. This season, which culminates with an action-packed conclusion following a few shocking twists that will have fans craving more, going a 75% for this part of this season as a whole, and probably a 75% overall. It's a season that did a lot right. A few missteps here and there, a couple of episodes that I didn't absolutely love, but overall, I'm still invested in the story. I'm invested in Tom Ellis, this entire cast and crew. We could have used a bit more time with certain characters, but I do think they'll get their time to shine, and they're due in the next season, hopefully. And again, for setting up certain things, I'm sure fans are going to be craving that. You guys are the best. Stay tuned for more reviews on this channel, and I'll see you very soon.